Okay, so you can see there the different terminology for the truss members, and so I'm just going to call them all webs, essentially, or, yeah, webs, we'll say. So I've got to add an extra web piece in, and I'll do the material at the same time. So I have the trusses there in my perspective view, and you'll see if you select them, they'll come up in properties, but you won't get any options on the main ribbon at the top. And it's just one of those annoying things with Revit you have to get used to. When you work in perspective views, you don't have all the editing options you would normally. So if you select something in a perspective view, expect it to not give you many options. You get some now, there's a few good things actually, but if you go to a normal 3D view, any of these other 3D views that I have, they're not perspective views. And so you can see now I've got options that weren't there before. So that's the first step, getting the options that you need. So now with any of those truss members selected, doesn't matter which one, I can go to Edit Family on the ribbon there, and that will take me back to the file. So that's a really important procedure when you've made a family, to be able to go back into the file without having to go and open it manually. So here it is with the piece missing, and in the front view I'm going to just model that in, and I'm not going to add a new one. I'm just going to edit the extrusion that's already there, edit extrusion, and don't worry if you get messages like this and you know that it's something that you would be expecting. And so the width there, we don't have in the drawing, so I'm going to nominate one and say it would be about 150 wide, so 75, sorry, with pick lines, 75 either side. Okay, so there's my piece. Actually, I've trimmed that the wrong way. So, there we go. So that's basically how it looks. Well, branch or something. But anyhow, that's a simple thing to do. And in the 3D view again, it's again obviously a solid. And so then to assign a material, I'm going to show you two ways. And you've probably seen when you select a solid in properties, you'll get the material property. Okay, so it's on by category by default, and make sure you take note of that and you realise that by category is the material setting. That's what it's set to at the moment. Don't worry too much about what by category means. We haven't looked at that yet. But we're going to change it from by category by clicking Browse, not the button next to it. So the little button you see which is grey, that's not to assign materials. It does something different. So you've got to get the Browse button, which is the button with the 3 dots, usually in PC land. So with the Browse there, now it'll bring up the material browser, and you'll see in a family, you won't get all the materials you do in a project. Okay, so you need to know how to make your own materials to assign them here. And I'll do that by duplicating. If I'm going to right click on default there, I can choose duplicate. And I'm going to call this wood truss will do. So wood, comma truss. And then set it up like I would a material. So it's a really good thing to practice. If you haven't done much with materials in Revit, it will take you a few goes to get the way it's managed. And I don't know anyone who isn't from the old days who's ever gotten it first time. So it will take you a few goes to understand it. So you've got to make sure you have a go at it before long. And so the first step is getting a new name, which I've done. I've got wood truss. Now I'm just going to change one setting on the graphics panel, which is use render appearance. And then on the appearance tab, I'm going to click replace. So just that replace button at the end there, replace this asset. And that's the standard process for making a new material in Revit. Here I can go to the Appearance Library and choose from the wood folder something that I think is good for this. And, well, it doesn't hurt to look at the source images to see what sort of timber we've got. Okay, so it's a fairly saturated sort of timber. It probably is just pine or something, but it's hard to tell actually. Maybe it's a hardwood, but here we've got a few that are similar to this. Yeah, you can change that easily, but I'll just choose one of the maples or something. So let's see. Okay, so it's got that image in there to make the timber texture and everything else set up automatically. So back on the graphics tab, if you want to, you can put in a cut pattern. Since it's timber, you could just set it to a diagonal crosshatch for now, and that's good enough. So if I click OK, then you'll see that this piece has changed colour, and then I'm going to just use Control to select all the other solids. So holding down Control. Now you can see it's still giving me the properties with the material set to by category, and if you don't see that, it simply means you've got something else selected, something that's not a solid. So again, just by choosing Browse, now I can simply choose that wood material I've already made. So it's assigned, and I can simply save that. And then load it into the project. And I'll tick, you know, obviously I've got a couple of projects now open, so I'll just tick the one that I want. And then this is really important: when you get this message, you'll get this message every time you change your families. Probably the second option there is the safer one. So override existing parameter and its parameter values, and then they'll all change. Now, if I select that family in this project and look at the properties, you can see there it's got no material. If I go to edit type, there's also no material, and that's because I didn't make it an option. So you'll see this with a lot of families that you use from the libraries as well, and when you start making your own, it'll give you a better idea how that works. So I'm going to, I've got it selected, so I'm going to click Edit Family to go back into the file that it came from. And just show you some optional steps. You don't have to do this, but it's a good thing to try. I've got the extrusions, which I'm just going to select again by holding down Control and clicking on each one. And you can see in properties, they have that wood truss material already assigned. So if I always wanted the same material for this family, I could just leave it like that and make it not an editable option. But usually you'd want to be able to change it. So that's what the last button there is for. That grey button is to assign your own parameter. Okay, so when you click there, add parameter, it's really simple. I'm just going to call this truss material. And that's it. OK. OK. Save the file. Load into project again. Got it already ticked. So OK. And again, choose the second option. Nothing's changed visually, but if I select one of those trusses, you can see now if I go to edit type, now it has this parameter that I can change. So if I want to change the trusses to a different timber or something else in this project, I don't need to go and edit the original file each time. So now I can browse and choose any other timber I have in this project. And see it change. There we go. Okay, but I won't do that. I'll leave it as the original timber, and that's good enough. So with the 3D view there again, you can see those changes, and yeah, I'll just finish that video there, but I might make it a little bit bigger so you can see all of it. So a nice expansive field of view there is going to help you, and then you'll see that the 3-point perspective will probably start to detract from the view. So if you're going to have a wide view of that showing all the trusses like this, think about flattening the view. In other words, making it a 2-point perspective by thinking about your view angles. So you can see now it doesn't look as distorted. The objects haven't changed, but just the way that I'm viewing them is a bit better. So again, now sketching out the field of view isn't such a drama. And you can see it's a pretty decent space you've got to work with. So I'll finish that video.